Hey everyone, this is going to be my starter for the 0.4 Last of the Druids patch. Very similar to last league, we're going to be using Spark, is what we normally like running with our builds. And we are going to be incorporating some cast on crit. Essentially what we're doing is we're going Bloodmage, which allows us to cast a lot of sparks at the cost of life. And through that, we're going to scale really high crit to proc Lightning Bolt from our amulet and also cast on crit for arcs. And this is going to allow us to have quite a smooth gameplay and fast clear, but also going to enable us to do some great single target as well. I don't know if it's going to be the Uber endgame version as this current state, but from my testing so far, we've seen some really great results. Alright, just before I go through the character and show you how I put it together, last couple of days I have been doing a bunch of testing on a Stormweaver. I'm trying to make a mana stacker work, and I got it to a reasonable point, but I wasn't quite happy with it. I still think it's viable, and I still think if people are going to push and go down that path, it will be a good character. But I did some testing on the Blood Mage, and I just wanted to go down this sort of variant for the new league coming out. So essentially what I'm going to do in this video is give you a bit of a rundown on this current setup that I've got in 0.3, where I've tried to make the gear sort of reasonable. It cost me, I guess, like 50 divines in the current league, but with the economy the way it is, I don't quite know how much that would be worth in a new league, and obviously prices will change on it. But the gear I'm using on this character definitely isn't mirror tier worthy gear. It's quite reasonable if you're a strong player and can get some reasonable farm. But you definitely don't need hundreds and hundreds of divines to get the build going. There's only a few key uniques that you might require, but there's also some alternatives with that as well. So when I go through this setup how it currently is, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be exactly like this. I have a foundation of the build, and this is what I will be starting, and as I play through it, I'll make adjustments as we go. I will have a link to the guide down below, so you can follow along, and I will make updates there. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is our kind of main skills that we're utilizing in the build. So we are going to be using Spark with Efficiency 2, Mobility, Fork, Projectile Acceleration 3, and Rapid Casting. This is a very flex position for now. I don't think I'll be using Rapid Casting in endgame. There's a couple of gems that I'm interested in that might be coming out soon, like the one that drops those shocking ground type situations after, something like that. There's definitely going to be something in here that I do change, but for now I've just slotted that in there, which also means you don't really need a 6-link or a perfect Jaws orb on the Spark to start with. The thing that we're going to be using as well is Lightning Bolt through the use of Crier of the Storm, which I'll get into in the gear section, but essentially it allows our critical hits to ignore monster lightning res, and it'll trigger a Lightning Bolt when we crit as well. So it's going to be triggering this skill right here, which we can do supports on. So I have Elemental Focus, Cooldown Recovery 2, Lightning Mastery, Concentrated Area, and Deliberation. If you get a level 19 Lightning Bolt, you'll have one less link, but you'll probably just drop Lightning Mastery for this, and it doesn't lose too much damage. It's about 10% or so. So you don't need to get a level 21, but it does help with that extra link. Then we'll be also running Cast on Crit. At the moment, I've just put 3 arcs in here. I'm not sure what the final version of this will be, whether it will just be 1 arc trying to do a lot of damage, or whether it will be the 3 in this setup, with Boundless Energy 2 and Energy Retention. These skills down here are just enabling the passive down the bottom here, which obviously I'll go through in the passives. Gem Enthusiast, you need just 10 red support gems for 5% life and 10 green support gems for 5% move speed. So if you see all these just random supports, these are not being used in active skills. They're just there to allow us to benefit from that. Okay, I'll quickly run through the passives for the sort of end game setup here. Essentially what we're trying to do here is get to the bottom right side of the tree or bottom side of the tree as quick as possible. Just picking up some key nodes on the way. This character is a hybrid character. At the moment I have 4.2k life and 5.2k ES, so we are getting some premium energy shield nodes on the way through. But you'll see as I kind of go through what we're doing here. So we kind of go on the side here, pick up this 30%. We get the ES nodes over here, we pick up crit. I am only level 97, but if I was higher, I would have these 2 here for more crit. We go around the top here, we pick up, again, some more premium energy shield nodes. We get the crit here. We are collecting jewels as we go on the outside. We're picking up the insane controlled metamorphosis. I'm hoping this still works, but we'll see. I think this doesn't have the negative chaos res anymore, so I'm hoping that we can get it for cheaper. I'm not sure how it's going to cost, but this does obviously hit some really nice nodes with the spaghettification for the jugular, harmonic generator, and kite runner. So very, very premium jewel for us right there. Now in here we have Wildstorm. This is being moved to up here. So you'll see in the planner that I put the pure power here. It doesn't do 15% more like this. It will do, I think, 10% more lightning, but essentially these nodes will be swapped in the guide that you'll see down below. We get some more crit bonus, come through here, get these crits while picking up jewels. We're still getting some reduced movement penalty. This obviously is getting nerfed in some way. We'll just have to see the numbers as we go, but for now I am taking it for this setup. Coming down, getting crit, getting move speed, getting some more movement penalty, getting acceleration, more jewels, lucky damage. Coming through here, picking up lightning rod, jewel, picking up gem enthusiast, which we just talked about earlier. Just need to have those 10 supports to utilize the 5% life and 5% move speed. And then we're actually coming right through here for fast metabolism. This feels super nice with the build, so I would recommend coming down and getting this sort of area. It's very, very strong and gives us a lot of utility and movement speed as we go. As for the ascendancy, you'll see in the guide, the leveling guide below, that I don't want to pick up anything to do with an ascendancy till like Act 4 or 5. I'm just going to level as a witch till like level 50, because this can get kind of nasty with the skills gain a base life cost equal to base mana cost if you don't have leech and you don't have reasonable life sustain. So I'm just going to wait till I get basically 4 ascendancy points later in Act 4 or start of Act 5, and then I'll be picking up this node here. I think you can do it without blood magic if you are struggling with this situation and you've already ascended, you can't really go back. You just have to come around and rush blood magic through here. I think you just path through this sort of line here, and you'll see in the leveling guide again that the pathing for this is quite simple to do. Or if you pick up the Mask of the Sangomancer, you get blood magic, but I'm thinking early league that might be kind of difficult. But yeah, that's the passive tree for the endgame setup. There is a setup before you get to this that I will be going. Okay, and lastly, we're going to talk about the gear. And there's only really, I would say, 2 main uniques you need to get for the build. One of them I'm expecting to be quite cheap, and the other one, I'm not so sure. It might be started off quite expensive, but it might end up being cheap, maybe after a few days. So the first one is the Mask of the Sangomancer. This essentially doesn't do too much outside of blood magic, gives us a bit of stats and some crit spells, but what it allows us to do is we don't have to path down to blood magic here. So I can cut basically this whole side of the tree in order to go this way and get all these really nice nodes down here. So I have opted for the Mask of the Sangomancer as my starter. There will be other variants that probably will just go and get blood magic, but for now I'm going to be going through this and seeing how that goes. The next unique that I really want to talk about is the Cry of the Storm. This is dropped by Xesht. It is getting a buff, and you're going to be able to get up to 100 lightning resistance now on it. There is also a very interesting line that says the uses is going from 1 to 5. In my head, I don't think it's a nerf. It sounds more like a mini buff. I'm not quite sure how to explain it to you guys, and I'm not quite sure if I'm even correct, but in theory, I'm hoping that it just cools down stacks, similar to like maybe how Unleash works, and it just recharges it as your normal recharge rate will be. So it shouldn't slow down the crit hits. If I'm completely wrong, and I could well be, I am probably not going to use Cry of the Storm. I'm just going to use a +3 amulet with lightning penetration on my Spark and getting some lightning penetration nodes, and a late game picking up a Rakiata's Flow. It's probably even more damage than this current Cry of the Storm setup, but if Cry of the Storm is similar to how it functioned last league, this will be an excellent starter for hopefully a reasonable cost, and will allow you to not worry about resistances without too much investment as well. So very important. Again, if it doesn't work out, I've got a backup plan for it. The ones, because we're not using Wrathpith, we are looking for basically increased lightning, increased spell with plus spells, extra lightning, some crit chance and some cast speed. This is a very, very good wand. I did pick it up for like 20 divines somehow, but these are sort of the stats that you're looking at. Definitely doesn't have to be this strong, but they are the key stats for it. Again, not using the Wrathpith. I'm going to be starting off with a focus with +3. Again, spell damage, lightning damage, crit chance, cast speed with some reasonable energy shield. I do think a Wrath Piss better, and I've tried it. I think with the new Val mechanic, being able to take off something like the non-channeling spells and add the cost, this one that says cost an additional 5 to 6, if this one can be taken off and another stat could be added onto it, I think this might be better than a focus. It definitely does more damage now, but it makes the survivability a little bit tricky because those additional costs happen with your cast on crits, and I'm pretty sure your lightning bolt as well. So for now, not opting for it. Then we have the rings. Simple, bit of res, cast speed, life, and I'm just mirroring it with this, but you don't have to obviously use Callender's Touch, just get 2 rings that are very similar. This is a place where you may be able to squeeze in some rarity if you would like. If you have enough res, you could also have it as a prefix. So if you're wanting to get to that 100 rarity, rings is definitely the way to go. Chest piece or body armor, you need to get as much energy shield as possible to make use of the Crimson Power node, as this basically gives us that much life. So this one here, 1076 energy shield, is giving 1076 life to the build, as well as energy shield. So it's very, very strong, and mainly the reason we're still going a Bloodmage, because we could obviously use the Covenant instead, but I still think this setup will be stronger. So high yes, best res as you can do, and just upgrade this as you go. As for the gloves, don't need a QD on this build. If you are using the setup how I'm using it right now, you don't need it. You can just use basically some reasonable gloves with life, chaos res, and cast speed. You don't need the Arcane Surge on crit. That's just premium. Probably going to be almost impossible to get, but just think of that as a bit more cast speed. Definitely not needed for the build. If you want to run a QD, you still can. There's nothing wrong with it. I just want to go for this setup for now. If you don't run the Choir of the Storm, we probably will be running a QD, just the way the leech works, but for now, I'm very happy with just doing this setup. Belt, just getting reses on life. You can try sticking an Ingenuity in there, but again, as a starter character, I want to make it accessible for as many people as possible. And then the boots here, I've got life, move speed, and chaos res. I do have the effect of socketed items in here. Obviously, with the movement speed rune nerf, or only being allowed to have one, I've tried to imitate that on this. We don't necessarily need to have the effect of socket items on here, but basically those are similar sort of stats that we're looking for. High life, high ES, and move speed. My move speed on this character is only 62. Obviously, I'm running the cat here, which is just silly kind of for the price, but this is just giving a little bit more move speed in maps. Definitely don't need it to run the start of the character. Now, I have done a lot of testing. You can run a Palm of the Dreamer if you want those explosions. Your damage is going to be about halved. So as you can see, their Lightning Bolt 45k instead of about 96k. But you do gain the Gloom Shrine explosions. You gain the Chaos Res and the other little attachments you can do to that skill. So it is something you can do in the future. This is the amulet that you're going to be looking for if the Choir of the Storm doesn't work out, or it's just too expensive to start with. Just don't use the Lightning Bolt and just run something like this. Obviously, this is insane. I'm not expecting everyone to have this day one, but mainly just look for the plus skills, the max life and cast speed, and maybe later you can get some bonus, some increased max life. But that is definitely an alternative path to go down. As for the jewels, the life percent jewels I just haven't put in. Obviously, they're very nice to get, but they're about 70 divines on the current league, so I didn't bother. So I basically done these little jewels here: energy shield, crit chance, crit bonus, whatever combo you can get with LE damage, spell damage. So I've got a lot of those around the tree. I've also picked up a Heart of the Well. This one is kind of crazy, but doesn't have to be this good. You're mainly looking for lightning damage with hits to be lucky, and maybe extra lightning damage, but anything you can kind of get, you just really want that lucky stat. And then the Megalomaniac here, I've got Barbaric Strength on it, which is this one here. I do have Frazzled as well, but definitely not necessary. Just me looking for Barbaric Strength. And the Amulet, I have Anointed the Vulgar Methods here as well. So that is kind of the gear that I'm leaning towards for now. Again, this is something that might take a week or so to get. There is going to be a progression in the guide to see how to slowly build to this level of gear, but this is the endgame variant. To get the power that you saw at the start, this is what I'm using for it. But again, things are subject to change. I don't know every single thing in the patch notes, how it's going to affect it. I will have to get a feel for it when I go through the build. Okay, so what I'm going to show you guys now is the place where the guide is and also a way to follow the leveling process. So here on Mobalytics, I have my Spark Bloodmage cast on crit character. And strength and weaknesses, great clear speed, great single target, tanky because we're using the life and energy shield, and it's also having that mobility while casting. Downside, leveling with Spark is not fun. So that's why I'm creating this for you guys, because I will think, because even I struggle leveling with Spark, so hopefully this gives you guys an idea of how I go about it. So to start off, we have the endgame variant. Obviously, if you do follow this guide along, this will be the first page you see with the endgame. And as you click through each of the build variants, it'll change everything you need in terms of the equipment, skill gems, and passive tree. So if I just start you off here in Act 1, I basically tell you what skills to use, and as you go along, you can see kind of the stats that you're aiming for on gear. Obviously, you're not going to get all these stats every single point in the acts, but it's just an idea of what to look for, as well as the skill gems and what to use, and also the passive tree here. So it should all update as you go. So if you go Act 2 here, you'll see, I think the gear is very similar. I think I changed the gear maybe in Act 4 and also to Ellie maps, but the skills do change a bit, and the passive tree expands on this as well. And that will go all the way through as you go. You'll see the passive tree is getting a bit bigger there. Act 4, again, a bit bigger as we go. Now, important thing I want to note, don't take Blood Magic Ascendancy until later in the act. This is what will get a lot of people. So just make sure that you don't quickly do that Ascendancy in Act 2 and then you sit there and you realize you run out of life and it's very, very awkward. So I'm going to be opting to take this probably around Act 4, and you'll see here, this is when I kind of mentioned to actually do it. I'll also put kind of the Trial of the Ancestors and the Venom Crypts in here for you guys as well. Interload, yeah, there is a little bit of a passive tree change for that. You'll be kind of respecing these start nodes here for the energy shield nodes, because you may need a bit more survivability at that point. And again, with Act 4, if you do pick up the Ascendancy at this point, you may have to rush to Blood Mage. So if you do have to do that, you can kind of see, you can do this pathing around the back here, or you can kind of cut through here. I think it works out to be about the same amount of points if you get the dual socket. So if you are struggling with that, that's the thing that I think a few people might run into. Please just somehow get Blood Magic as fast as you can, even if you have to drop some of these other nodes, these spell damage nodes, to get around there, or even the skill duration here. Please drop that to go get Blood Magic if you are struggling with it once you get the Ascendancy. Early maps, I have some upgraded gear, so again, just full res and the passive tree to go along with that. And then once you pick up Mask of the Sangremancer, you'll see that we cut that left side of the tree and we start heading down this right side. And that will eventually lead you to the final endgame setup. I do have obviously the Giga rare items in here, but just don't get them to this level. Maybe look at the Mask of the Sangremancer type gear until you can slowly start building towards these. You are going to want to try to get a Choir of the Storm as quick as possible. If you can't, go with a +3 amulet. Just don't run Lightning Bolt. It should be able to get you through the game fine with that. But yes, if you would like to follow all the updates for this build, feel free to subscribe to my channel. You can also, I think, follow on this guide. There's like a follow button you can press, and also feel free to check me out on Twitch. I will be streaming most of the start of the league. I'll probably play about 15 hours a day, so if you have any questions, please go over there and say hi. Anyway, I hope that helped you guys. Please let me know what you're playing in the comments below. If you have any suggestions, if I've missed everything or anything, because there's so much to go through. I'm always happy to take on some feedback and just see what you guys have come up with. Thanks, guys.